we talk about. Since we have at least twice as many, and then some. Audio illusions, temperature sensation illusion. Knowledge, the study of knowing, is called epistemology. For true, different complex relationships all over the brain between lots of brain cells, neurons, long-term potentiation, or LTP. When one neuron stimulates another neuron repeatedly, that signal can be enhanced over time, LTP, wiring them more strongly together, and that connection can last a long time, even an entire lifetime. More sensitive to each other and more ready to fire in the exact same way later on in the future. They're a physical thing in your brain firing together more easily because the forest of firing friends looks messy, but look closer. It could be the memory of your first kiss, a living souvenir of the event. If I were to go into your brain and cut out those cells, could I make you forget your first kiss? Or could I make you forget they're stored all over the brain? At Northwestern University, about 2.5 petabytes of information. The theory that the sun moved around the Earth worked great. It predicted that the sun would rise every morning, and it did. It wasn't until later that we realized what we thought was true. So much to Charles Sanders Peirce that he drew a line between reality, the way the universe truly is, and what he called the phaneron, the world as filtered through our senses and bodies, the only information we can. Solipsism, matrix defense. In 2002, Tonda Lynn Ansley shot and killed her landlady. She argued that she believed she was in the Matrix, that her crimes weren't real. Rocks and stars and Thora Birch. You ask me to tell you anything about the nature of what lies beyond the phaneron, my answer is, how should I know? I am not dismayed by ultimate mysteries. I can no more grasp what is behind such questions as my cat can understand what is behind the clatter I make while I type this paragraph. It's a great way to get the attention of a human. They're warm and exciting, surrounded by noises and flashing lights. Plus, cats love to get their scent on whatever they can. This includes the moon, Earth, Jupiter, the sun, and the sun is exerting on you right now, boiling off our oceans and swallowing the Earth whole. The sun is not going to simply disappear. The moment that the sun disappeared, we would have no idea, because it takes light from the sun. Once we did, confusion and mass panic would most likely influence, and Earth would fly out in a straight line tangent to wherever it was in its orbit. Continue orbiting and reflecting light from a sun that no longer exists, moonlight or sunlight. The universe itself would be our only source of visible light. Ahad calculated definitely trillion kilos of oxygen every year. But our atmosphere contains a whopping quintillion kilos of oxygen. It would take us thousands of years to run out. The poor plants themselves would be much worse off. Without the sun, most of them would die within days or weeks. Now, with our sun, the average surface temperature of the Earth would radiate away heat next week without the sun. The option, really, would be to move to geothermal areas like Yellowstone or Iceland. These places would be the few safe havens for human life after the sun. Nearly all life on degrees Celsius. 20 years, various water droplets, instead, droplets of liquid air. In Fritz Leiber's famous science fiction short story, A Pail of Air, this is a year or so after the sun disappeared, Earth's oceans will have frozen over, ice all the way across. Liquid water could still exist at the bottom of our oceans, on the ocean floor that spew water out, superheated by Earth's interior. Deep in the ocean, far below the point where sunlight can penetrate, and they make energy not through photosynthesis, but via chemosynthesis, converting heat and methane and sulfur into the energy they need. They are then eaten by clams and tube worms. It's amazing to think that life, here on Earth, all alone, flying through space with no— The sun disappeared, spaceship Earth would fly out in a straight line, covering about 30 kilometers every single second. An extreme cold can kill with— There is only 1/3 as much breathable oxygen as there is down at sea. 3 minutes because there isn't enough oxygen. There around your body to exceed 15,000 pounds per square inch. 15 seconds and you'd be dead in under 90. Lava is liquid rock, 4 times as hot as your oven can ever get. Of organic material containing a lot of moisture into hot lava. It doesn't just sink in, it causes a miniature eruption. I highly suggest you go watch it. 18. Influenza killed nearly 100 million people. Has spread rapidly, or even scarier. Between 1347 and 1353, a third of infection caused by Yersinia pestis, Plasmodium, malaria. In terms of total fatalities across all of human history, a place where Plasmodium could enter the bloodstream because of a mosquito bite. La Orilla is a mining town in Peru where the murder rate is low, trap gases within, causing the town to have 85 times more arsenic in its air than is deemed safe. Herache in Russia. It was named the most polluted spot on Earth by the World Watch Institute on Nuclear Waste. The lake contains so many radioactive pollutants, 1 hour near certain parts of the lake. Crime and political corruption. The safest country, according to the index, is Iceland, and the least safe is Somalia, whereas Mexico, where out of every 1 million inhabitants, each year 1,477 of them are murdered. But Habit Cove, the town where Murder, She Wrote occurred. An analysis of Murder, She Wrote episodes revealed 274 murders, but a population in the town of only 3,500, making Cabot Cove's murder rate 1,490 per million inhabitants. 1,588 murders per million inhabitants. Radioactive isotopes spilled out of a blazing reactor core, forcing mass evacuations. It's more than 25 years later now, and many parts of the exclusion zone remain incredibly lethal, especially endangered species.